Just listen.
If the player's gonna leave, they're gonna leave anyway. So why have to deal with this chaos and trying to exit and fights? If they're gonna leave, they must leave.
Now it's recording.
Okay, cool.
So then I'll never mention names
Yeah.
myself. I'll wait for you to.
No, so I just think, I mean, in certain instances, it comes down to an agreement that's made on a piece of paper that someone doesn't stick to, someone veers off to, and then, sorry. I mean, yeah, I guess it's a difficult one. It really is, because as an agent, that's how you earn your living. As a player, you earn your living playing, and sometimes you might think, why am I paying this person? Like, what are they doing for me? Yeah. So there's always becomes that thing, and then sometimes it's not always a contract, it's word of mouth, and when you start having verbal contracts, then the lines start to get blurred a little bit, and then that's when that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey, I like to think that I'm trying to be progressive with how I want to do stuff, but the contract is, I don't know if I 100% believe in a contract.
Between agent and player? Or?
Yes. Okay. This is crazy. People will think I'm crazy for it. I guess when you're doing massive deals, it's important to have, but I always said to the guys, I don't need a contract with you. In the first couple of years, you need to first suss out if you like how this goes. If you want it to formalize, we can formalize it. If you want it to stay as it is, you can, because I believe that if a player's gonna leave, they're gonna leave anyway. Okay. So why have to deal with this chaos and trying to exit and fights? If they're gonna leave, they must leave. So I have a different outlook on it. I don't see it as I own this thing. I'm there to be a part of that person's journey and to try and help them in their life. So if things aren't working out, like, surely you got to both be man enough and say, okay, let's move on now. That's just my belief. I was chatting to one of the boys the other night, and he was like, he had an agreement that he signed, and my thing is literally one page. That's just all it is. Yeah. And he said I've known him for 4 years, and it was 2 years ago that he signed it. And he said to me, he's like, do you want me to extend the agreement? I'm like, in my eyes, you've got a lifetime contract with me. So, you know, we that's how I think of it. I don't want it to be very transactional, and I don't think it should be transactional, because it's people. So a lot of times people see sportsmen as this thing, and they treat it as like a thing, but it's actually not it. They're human beings.
It's their product that they're selling to clubs and whatever, teams.
Exactly, but at the end of the day, you know, they're still people. Yeah. So we need to look after them like people. They have emotions. They feel all the things a normal person feels, probably magnified, because they've got all these people looking at them all the time. Yeah. So, you know, and back to what we chatted about is, I think the grounding is so important. Like, for these guys to have a solid grounding, to not let all of that stuff affect them. Yeah. You know, especially in the time of social media where anyone can say whatever they want to them. I mean, I've seen people saying things to some of the guys on Twitter, some of the football players, that you're just like, why would you even say that? Yeah. So yeah, it is interesting. Like, it's the grounding is important to remember that the sports guys are people too. They're really talented. They're really good at what they do. They have a gift, but at the end of the day, we're all people. And that's my whole thing in the sports agency and in life, is like, no one person is different to another person. We might look different, we might feel different things, but at the end of the day, we're all just people. Yeah. And I guess, you know, for them to know that people care, that means a lot.
But running a sports marketing or sports management company on those principles, you put yourself at risk, don't you? Because players that start seeing money as like the end goal will jump away and try and find the agent that's going to get them the best deal.
Exactly. That it is tricky, right? But I always say again, like, I'm never going to short sell the player on a contract or any of that. Like, he's going to still get the maximum he can get out of it. But we just do it differently. Do you get what I'm saying? And again, like, you have to always understand value and what a person's value is. So as a hypothetical example, like a young player comes in, he has a great first season, he was on a contract, he goes up on a bigger contract and he keeps improving and his contract keeps going up, right? Whereas you'll find other guys have one great season, then they go back into the contract negotiation and they try and nail the team. And it seems like, no, go to another team, or we're not paying you that. So you figure it out. So I think there's the fine line, and what I say to my guys is like, we never want to go back. So in life, as a sportsman, your life is short-lived, and by the time you get to the end of your career, your contract will start going down unless you stop at the highest possible point. The reality is, in football, your contract from 32 to 35 will probably be less than the contract was before in your prime. So you go back in that respect. But what I'm saying is, for the young guys, is you have to stay motivated enough to want to get an increase every year by increments and increments of like sustainable growth. That can last you, and that teaches you a certain principle too. I always believe that things that come really quickly to people, some can go really quickly too. So for me, the principle with all the guys is like sustainable growth. Like, we build this thing slowly, and when the time's right, if you've had 3 killer seasons, you're going to max out on your contract.
Yeah.
But it's never about that. And I understand that's how guys earn money and that's what they do. But we have a thing of, we don't ever talk about that. Like, we talk about, if you take care of your process each day and you are the best that you can be, all the other stuff will take care of itself. But when you start thinking of a paycheck at 20 years old, then in my mind, your vision and your mind isn't in the right place, because that's not what it is. As a young person, you got to go and see how good you can be at your sport, and believe that if you do as well as you can do, that the other stuff will come. That's just a big thing. Again, that's my belief as a person, that if you do good work and you're a good person, things will come back. If that makes sense.
You're essentially doing it because you love it, though. That's the main thing.
Yeah, totally.
So, like, as a sportsman, you never think, I'm going to become a professional sportsman to make money, because the chances of you actually making it professionally is so small. There's better ways to make money. Obviously, you can make more in a short period of time, but if that's the main goal, you're almost never going to get there.
Exactly. Like, you have to do it for the passion and the love of what you're doing. Otherwise, it can become a grind. Like, sport's hard, right? Yeah. So like, if you are doing this thing just for the money and the money's not coming, then it becomes hard. But if you're doing it because you love it, it makes it easier to show up every day and go and take care of your business. Yeah. So yeah, I think, again, like the passion thing is really important. One, you have to try and do what you love to do and be passionate about that, and and put everything into it. And then from there, the other things, the reality is that life is life. Everyone's got to earn a living. You got stuff to pay for, like we chatted about, and it's not all fairy tales and we're going to change, But I believe that, again, it's all about the balance in life. Like, you can do great work and you can be successful and you can still be a good person. Like, you don't have to be an idiot to be a successful person. Same with the sports guys. Like, if you look at the best of the best of the best, they had a certain arrogance, but when you were around them, they were extremely humble people. Yeah. It's always the guys who aren't quite there that need to try and show that that are maybe a certain way, but I think if you're not operating out of like humility, it becomes difficult to have again that long sustainable career.
Yeah. It's this thing. We just
No,
put it
that's
flat,
good.
it'd be cool. It's
Yeah,
cool like
that's
that,
perfect.
Because it's gonna put me off if it keeps shaking.
No, it's perfect.
So just for the sake, we spoke about this earlier, but just for the sake of the recording now, just go over again how you got into having a sports management company in this country.
Yeah, so I guess having played sport at school, having played cricket, I was always passionate about it, loved the sport, and obviously being in Bloemfontein, which is like the hotbed of great talent in the country, being at Grey College, which you were there also, we were surrounded by guys who were always wanting to be the best. They worked the hardest. They did what the other schools and other people wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And so I'd always loved that and always been close to it and always got on well with people in general. And so after school, I played cricket in Johannesburg a bit and then back at the Free State. And then things happened in my life and I wanted to change and I left. I went overseas, and when I came back to South Africa probably at 27, I think I was ready for that. Like I'd always still been close to sport. I'd been passionate about it. I'd loved it. There was a friend of mine who was involved in sport, and there was two players that he was helping out, and he said he's really busy, can I help with this? And it started out with two great young dudes. They were 18 at the time, and it was just organic, the whole thing. And then I was like, I love to do this. I want to set up an agency because I think we can do good work in the space. Started with two cricket players, and then from there, as we've chatted about, it became a word of mouth thing where it slowly started to grow by a player a year, two, couple guys here, and then it was cricket initially, and then it went into football with a couple of players, and just having seen how everything works and seeing these great young dudes who maybe just needed some guidance to set up their life, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And the main thing was having seen so many guys play and be done, and then it was like a shock, like what now? The sport's finished, now what? Like maybe I didn't save money, maybe I didn't educate myself or find another hobby or another passion that I love to be able to go into afterwards. And so I was like, well, I want to build this whole agency based on life after sport. So how do we set you up now for when you're done? And that was the main principle for me. And that's, when I speak to any of the guys, we're always talking about balance and grounding and sustainable careers and life. And it's great that they're all very specific kind of people, all the guys that I help out. I don't call myself their agent because whatever, but they like very specific. They're good dudes. They're really hard workers. They all have like some very similar characteristics as people and as sports guys. And again, like our thing as a group is always like you have to work really hard if you want to be the best. That's the bottom line. And it's not just on your skills. This is, and that's why I love what you're doing, is it goes so far beyond just bowling for 6 hours in the nets or kicking balls or hitting balls or whatever. Like that's a small part of it. Like there's so much more to it. There's the physical side, there's the mental side, there's all of those things which, I think, look, I don't want to say something but I think South Africa is definitely lagging as far as all of that goes.
Yeah.
Like it's still very transactional, the way that people do things. Like it needs to go deeper. Like, I guess everyone's been watching Michael Jordan's documentary. Yeah. And there was a really interesting part. I mean, the players are all amazing, but Phil Jackson, the coach, like he saw beyond just basketball. He was a pretty zen guy. Like he had them doing yoga and meditating, and like that was arguably one of the greatest basketball teams ever. And the more I started reading, trying to understand things about all of these things, I was like, the skills is such a small part of it. Like meditating, mindfulness, yoga, for example. Like this is starting to catch on here now in South Africa amongst the cricket teams. But I mean, if I look at the top soccer teams in the world, they all do yoga 4 times a week because it helps your body. It's like creates a sustainable, so like you can go all in and go spend 6 hours doing your skills and ruin your body, or you can take care of each little part of it and you effectively going to become a machine. That's what it is, right? It's like holistic.
The few conversations I've had with all the sportsmen and stuff, and a lot of them I'm not going to mention because they're surprised for the show, but the guys that are the best at what they do, even in medicine and things like that, all take part in some sort of daily mental practice, whether it's mindfulness and meditation, whether it's just like yoga or an hour of stretching and being with yourself. There's a clear difference between the guys that are almost there and are kind of getting there, and the guys that are at the top of their game, that they're all doing something like that on a daily basis.
I agree. I mean, you just need to go back in history and look at all the best people that have ever done stuff, like what they did to get there. It wasn't just Tiger Woods. I mean, he used to go through intense mental stuff as a youngster. I mean, you just go back and look at all these guys. LeBron James, he's one of my favorite because he's from our generation. Like Michael Jordan, I mean, probably the best ever, or I don't know who is, whatever. That's another debate. But we didn't know him because we're younger. Like we know LeBron and all these guys. And I just see how he's gone about it and how he works and how he works on his mind too. He's just endorsed this app called Calm, the Calm app, which is really cool. And there's some great content of him on there, but it's like he is so focused on his breath, for example. Like this guy's a machine. Looking at this and he's talking about, I focus on my breathing. That's the main focus when I'm in a really, like who even in our time when we were playing cricket at school said anything about breathing? No.
We actually used to think these guys that come in, or when we had a psychology session, it was a little bit phony, like it was like a time to take a nap and that type of stuff. We never understood why.
We didn't. So I'm looking at it now and I'm like, these guys have all the tools to unlock their full potential, like the current crop of athletes coming through, whatever age they're at now, whether you're 18 or 34. You have all the tools to be able to see how good you can get, because there's so much research into it and so much, studying that's gone into like your mind and your body and how to get. My favorite thing is the flow state.
Love that word.
It's a cool thing. This is The Mindful Athlete is a book I read. It was really, really cool. And they were big into like, how do you find your state of flow? And I guess it's different for everyone. Each person's state of flow is different and you get it in a different way. Like I might like this, you might like that. But I guess, also just for the guys to understand that each day you have to take care of your business. Like to have the goal is important, but you can't be looking there. Like you got to take care of every day. And like the something that Kobe Bryant said, which always sticks to me, is like the dream is every day. It's not the destination. It's like waking up and grinding and doing if you can do that, you're lucky. You're in a position that not a lot of other people are in, and people would love to be able to be in that position, to be able to get paid to play sports. So I guess back to why I started the agency, it was just to help young dudes realize their full potential. And just be there to mentor and help out and see how I can assist them to get to where they want to be. If that makes sense.
If you come to a 20-year-old, because to be honest, he might be a good sportsman, but both of us at 20, we didn't know what we were doing with our lives. So if you go to a 20-year-old and you say to him, I want you to start doing mindfulness on a daily basis. I struggled working with 18-year-olds with that immensely.
Yeah.
It had to be guided meditation or guided. So how do you, as a player manager, trying to get the best for your athletes, get them to do that stuff?
Man, I speak to them all the time about meditating, doing yoga. Even meditating is different for a lot of people, right? Some people are really religious, and it means praying, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you go into, it's different for everyone, but
of course, yeah.
you know, the one dude was like, read a book? You joking?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it really easy for you. I got a group subscription on Audible for you guys. You got a free login. I've got 5 really great books lined up already for you. Just go start. Like, go listen to one and see. But I guess it comes down to the discipline of them to be like, I want to be the best. Let me try this. Because it's the only way you will be the best is to just leave no stone unturned. If you're committed to training, you need to be committed to stretching. Because otherwise you're going to mess your body up. And if you're committed to that, you need to be committed to reading and learning. Like, if you look back to the Jordan documentary, like, he used to watch videos for hours of the other guys and what they were doing and how he could be better than them. Like, that's the research. Tiger Woods was like, when he was at his best, he said, no, I still spend hours looking at all the best driver of the ball, best iron player, best chipper, best putter.
Trying
the
to
guy
find
was like,
things.
but you are the best. He's like, I'm the best package, but I'm not the best in each of those places. So it's just continuous learning, I guess. And I guess if you want to see how good you can get at something, you're going to do that.
And as you said, the resources are available now.
It's all there,
There's no
man.
more excuses.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy. I have the Calm app, put it on every morning for 15 minutes. The guy guides you through a meditation and your day's off to a good start.
The Calm app's one of the best things I found because
That's
it's
awesome.
it's tough to meditate by yourself. Let's be honest there. So just to sit, even when I used to go to work early to miss traffic, I would just lie in my car and put it on,
Yeah. It's amazing. So, I think all the resources are there and they're really easy to get for these guys. It's not expensive. That's the cool thing about it. Like, for 50 Rand a month, you can have the Calm app. Like, that'll be worth thousands in your body and what it gives you back compared to 50. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm trying to just, show these guys, like, you can never make someone do something, but you have to at least give them the tools to say, here it is, try it. You and I spoke about the mindfulness practices that they can do, and, you share that with them, and then whether they do it or not, that's up to them. Like, we're not their school teachers to tell them you got to do this. Like, you give it to them, you ask a couple times, and then they got to start doing it all. You get what I'm saying? So I think it is, it just for me to help give these guys the tools and to realize that you're never too old to learn. Like, Wayne Sandilands he's one of my favorite people. He's the goalkeeper at Orlando Pirates, and Wayne he's been in the league for 20 years, literally. Started at 18 and 19. He's 36 now, and he is fitter than he's ever been. He's healthier than he's ever been. He's more hungry to read books and to learn than he's ever been. And like, each time you just look at this and you're like, that's unbelievable. But that's how he's played professionally for 19 years. He's always pushing and always learning and always trying, and tried. Him and I are extremists, so I have to be careful about telling him about a new diet.
Okay.
We were chatting about this the one day, and I said, let's try vegetarian for a while.
Oh, okay.
And we were like, yeah, let's do it. And that night his wife phoned me and she was like, are you going to cook for him? I was like, no, I'm not cooking for him. I'm so sorry. As I told him, I knew I shouldn't have told him.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone's different, and you have to be willing to try things to see how you react to those things. So you might go for a month, you go whatever, you change your diet up, you change your training regime up, and you're like, that works for me, that's great, I can go there. Or it doesn't work and we change it. But you can't just stay. There is the old saying of, if it works, why change it? But you have to evolve too. Exactly. So everyone evolves. Tiger was the best ever player, and then he was like, I'm going to change my swing now. You're like, why? But that's human nature. Like, it's evolution. We want more and we're looking for more. But I guess you just don't want to become obsessed with looking for more to the point where you can't like do what you want to do.
But there's a level of obsession in guys like Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
That's 24/7 goal for basketball. All
the time. That's what it takes to be that great. I think Ronaldo is the same. I sense Virat Kohli is very similar to Steve Smith. Like, it takes that to achieve what they've achieved. Like, these guys they aren't just brilliant, they're like game changers. Yeah. That's what it is, right? So, I always say, like, we don't want to do stuff just because. Like, you can be a really good provincial cricket player or a nice club player, and doesn't mean I think any different of you as a person, because we're all people. But if you sign up to play just to be an average provincial player, then you got to go and do something else. Yeah. Like, you might not be the most talented person ever, but then you got to get it all you got to get as much out of yourself as you can. And that's by striving to be your best version. So people are different. Like, I could never be as good as Michael Jordan, hypothetically. Like, I can't, genetically, we wouldn't, it's not possible, I don't think. Maybe, you never know.
I was saying that to Wade Panicek. I said, it doesn't matter how much I train, I can't beat you in the sprints. And then I said, well, maybe we should try.
So, I mean, that's the reality is, genetically, those guys are good. They have amazing minds. I would love to look into there and see how that works. And then physically, they grind it out. They work hard. They do what they have to do. And, but there's always something for me about the guy who's not the most talented, who's just James Milner. Oh, yeah. You don't need to look any further. Like, that dude is a machine. Yeah. Like, he's got no flashy things. No one even, he's won a few Premier Leagues. He's 33 years old now. He's the fittest fittest guy in the Liverpool squad. Like, he gets everything out of his body. He's healthy. He's fit. I read a great article on him the other day, and he said he knew as you get older, your body's going to start regressing. So from a young age, he was like, I got to be that much fitter and better than everyone, so that by the time I'm older, I'm still on their level, which is really cool. So there is that level of like obsession, but you can still have a life and balance. Yeah. I think.
Well, one thing that people like Michael Jordan and them get is that you can never separate the body and the mind. You're not just a set of skills. There's a human behind the driving force of those skills, and if that part isn't sorted out and that closet isn't clean, you'll never get the best out of what you can offer.
Totally. It all sinks into one. It's like, I'm gonna take it to golf. Like, if your body isn't synced with everything, if your arms go at a separate time that your legs go, the ball's going to go everywhere. But if you're all in sync, the chance is pretty good the ball's going to go where you want it to go. And the same principle for your mind and your body and your sport and your life, I guess, is you just need to find that state of flow, that state where everything is in sync. You don't have to be a sportsman. It's in life it can apply to. You're always looking just for that state of flow.
Tell me quickly, the agency, the stigma around a sports agent is quite dirty in the country, and I think
it's not just the country, right?
Definitely around the world. But let's say in this country, it's more related to, I think, rugby, because of rugby's popularity. Very few things come into the news about agencies and agents in football in our country. But I know it's quite dodgy. So how are you navigating those waters as a young agent and a young agency?
It's the wild, wild west out there. Like, I think cricket still runs in a solid sort of, everyone takes their chances, but it's run in a certain way. Football is just way different. Like, it's really an interesting one. I mean, I'll give you as much as I can give you, but it's just like, as a young dude, I'm like, I'm gonna come in, do good things. People wouldn't even. They're like, no, I don't. I only work with. A club would be like, I only work with X, Y, and Z. Those are the agents I deal with. So no.
So even the
So
clubs
they've all
are,
got. Yeah. It's like, it's all very interesting. I don't want to go into much detail. You might never hear from me again. No, I'm joking. It's just interesting. It works way differently. It's a very clicky thing. It's the teams and the agents have got their way and the schmoozer. That's how it is. Sports agents.
Yeah, of course.
I am a sports agent. I don't like the word that much because there is that stigma around agents, and I understand why. Is because I've seen stuff in front of my eyes happen where I'm like, how can you do that? Because again, it's like dudes out. I don't want to disrespect anyone, but most people in sales just want to make a sale. It's the same thing.
That's their goal.
So they're not worried about the incidentals or the other things out there. So again, agents have done stuff to players that's definitely not good, but then it's gone the other way too. Like, players also do nonsense. It's not only one way, but agents don't have the best reputation. I mean, I can't say that they shouldn't, but in general, the stigma and the guys, like, it just comes across as like people don't want to have to deal with agents, sports agents, just because of that. And I think, at the end of the day, you have to understand as a sportsman or a parent or someone looking from the outside. So, sports agent, what's your job? You got to go sell the player to a team. You're in sales. And that's what it is. And so you're going to try and get the highest price. And sometimes that's where the chaos comes between the teams and the agents, because the agents take massive chances, and then the player is the one who ends up suffering because they're like, well, no, you can go or you do this. So, again, like, it does need to be governed. I think it does need to be governed a bit more. I don't think one agent, I think it should be limited as to the number of players and agent managers.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
because there's a monopoly in certain sports.
You can't have 50 players that you look after if you're one person. It's not possible. How are you going to give him the service that he wants? Service meaning see him, speak to him, help him with life outside of his sport. If you have a deal where it's like, you my contract guy, you just negotiate the contract, I'll pay you a fee, cheers. I'll carry on, you carry on. Then that's cool. That's a transactional thing, but that's not what guys are signing. So, say I've had a couple of young dudes phoning and saying they need an agent, they want an agent. I said, the reality is at 18 years old, an agent can't add that much value to your life. Like, you got to go do what you got to do. If you're really good at what you do, the team will come to you and be like, and then you get someone to help you. But don't be quick to just sign a piece of paper. So for the young guys, some of the agencies will charge the guy a fee every month, even if he's not earning a salary yet. And how?
Yeah,
that can't be good.
And what are they doing to earn that
you
fee?
Can't add that much value to that. That's what I'm saying, is like, you need to know that you're adding enough value and putting enough time to be able to warrant, charging an 18-year-old kid who's on an amateur contract a fee. You get what I'm saying? So I understand it's a business and people have to earn a living and eat. I get that 100%, but there has to be a middle ground somewhere. Like, you just see, and then, there'll be older players in their mid-20s that are with an agent and they're paying him a fee every month and they're like, I don't even know why. And then there becomes stress around it. And there's fights and fallouts and he sucks and that's how it goes. But, I think as a player, you need to decide as a player, you have to decide what you're looking for. So you either want someone who's going to be your right-hand guy with everything that happens in your life, or you want a guy who's going to just get you the best contract. So that you have to distinguish that in your head. If you want the guy who's going to get you the best contract, it's going to be a transactional relationship. He's going to come, I got you a great deal, sign it, pay your commission, and go. And I think that's how it should be set up. I think if a player decides that what he wants, he should say to the agent, I don't want to sign a 2-year full management agreement with you. Yeah. I'll sign a mandate with you to say, you can go and do my deal, and I'll pay you a percentage of that up front, and then we're cool. Instead of signing a 2-year contract where you're paying a guy every month and you in your mind you're not sure why. And again, sports guys don't always like to pay for stuff. That's the reality. Like we said, if you think about it, they don't pay for stuff in general. They travel, they get sponsored stuff. That's all, everything gets booked for them. They just go tag along kind of thing. They pay for their house and their car, and so... Well,
not always even.
Well, yeah, sometimes I guess the cars get given to them. A house, pretty much everyone has to pay for their own house. But I think as the sports guy, like you, as the athlete, you need to decide, what it is that you're looking for. You're looking for a partner, and that's why I said it, to one of the boys in the Cape. He's also a young dude. I'm like, I'm not your agent. I'm your business partner. See it that way.
Okay.
Like I'm your mentor and business partner. Let's see, how I can help you in your life and outside of sport as much as I'll mentor you to unlock your full potential. And I kind of like that because that's what it is. Like if you have a percentage, if I have a 10% share and you have a 10% share, you're a partner in the business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a different way to look at it. But I guess I would just say, be wary of sports agents. Not everyone's bad. It's like anything in life. You get people that suck and you get great people.
Yeah,
so
of course,
not everyone's bad. There's guys doing great work out there. It does definitely have that stigma, but hopefully we can change that. And I think the new generation of young dudes can do that. And that's why, I want to do what I do. I know I'm fairly young for being in that space, but you just got to push through and do good stuff. And if people's... You don't do good stuff for other people to see and praise you. You do good stuff for other people to see and be like, let's lift the game.
Yes.
Let's do better also for our guys.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, why you set out to do it, is to just try and raise that a little bit.
But you also got to distinguish between what a sports agent is and then like a career manager.
Yeah.
Where you're helping the guy managing his finances and all those things.
Yeah.
And that's more the field you like to operate in.
Yeah. So for me, it has to be the holistic thing, right? Well, it doesn't have to be the holistic thing. In my mind, the way it should be is, these guys should have someone helping them with all that stuff. Because if you're busy playing, you don't have enough time to take care of everything else. Your focus has to be there. So again, it's either, you want a transactional thing where the guy just gets you contracts, or you want someone to really help you, achieve what you want to achieve in sports as well as outside. Help to set you up outside of it. And again, you don't need to look too far to see all the best guys had the same constant people with them throughout their career. And that's just that's the reality of it is if you want to have a long-term sustainable thing, you have to want to have that. You're going to have to want the same people. And sometimes things don't work out. But that's always, I find, when the expectations aren't put out on the table. So if I don't know what you're trying to achieve, I can't help you to get there. Then there's bound to be drama. So I need to know what your goals and what your dreams and what your expectations are. And then if I don't meet them, then that's on me. But if I don't know those things, how can you ever meet someone's expectations? So it all comes down to that. I think with that relationship is just always, everyone just needs to know what the expectations are.
And you're as an athlete, you've got to choose an agent whose values align with yours. That just even their way of doing business has got to be something you're comfortable with, because at the end of the day, it's your name.
Exactly. I think that's so important, man. Is just to be with someone like-minded, someone who gets you, who gets you as a person and understands what you do, in your sport. But it's so important to have that. Again, like I mentioned to you, like the guys I help out are the greatest dudes. They're like all very like-minded people. They're just good dudes that are really hardworking and good at what they do. And that aligns to what we're trying to do as a group. Everyone fits into that, and if you can't if your relationship with your agent or whatever is one where you can only phone him when it's time to do a contract, or then is it really a relationship? Like, it should be someone that you can share stuff with beyond just a contract, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How did you choose you kind of fell into it from what I could gather with the players that came along and they contacted you. You're not much of a scout, if I can call it that. But how did you choose the sporting codes that you operate in?
So I always believe that you should stick to things that you understand, if that makes sense. So cricket, I'd played it since I was a youngster. I understand it technically. I understand it beyond just watching it on TV. I can go really deep with some of the guys about technique and all of that kind of stuff. Football is a passion that I developed when I was probably like 18, and I just started learning about it and understanding it and watching a ton of it, and I was like, I can add value to the guys and I can have a conversation about what they're doing. Same with golf. If there were to be a golfer, maybe that's something in the future for us. I can speak to the guy about stuff, you know what I mean? Whereas I don't understand rugby that well, so how could I be an agent of a guy that I don't necessarily I know it, but I don't understand it. So like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to really know what it is that you're in, if that makes sense.
Well, you played semi-pro, if not pro cricket. I think you signed contracts.
Yeah.
And golf, I'm pretty sure you were close to scratch, if not better, in your handicap. So it's something you're almost an expert in.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't.
I use the word almost.
Yeah, almost. Thanks, man. Great.
You got closer than most people.
Yeah, I think you just need to understand, so you can have those conversations at a deeper level with the guys too. As much as it's about connecting with them as a person, you have to be able to connect with them with what they do.
And you can see potential in a youngster if you understand the sport.
Exactly. Like, where to look or what to look. But again, like I said, I'd try go to as much. I just love to watch, so I go to as many games as I can go to, and watch on TV a lot. So, but I'll be like, oh, there's a really good player, nice to see. But again, like, I'm not on a major recruitment drive, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you want to grow and you want to become a bigger agency and do great things, but it has to be right. The player has to want to be a part of what you're building, if that makes sense, or be a part of that group. Whereas for the rest, it feels to me sometimes like it's just a numbers game. Let's see how many players we can sign, and I'm like, it's got to be right. So who knows where it goes? If it grows, if more people come in and help out to grow the amount of players, I don't know, but that's for me, it's not like the goal right now. I just want to build it out nice and slowly with the right people and enjoy seeing them do well. Like I said to you, everyone's journey is different, and if I look at like all the different guys that I help out, like, for each of them there's a moment that makes you so excited. You know what I mean? Like, one of the guys, after 3 years of really grinding it out, he got his first contract now. And it was just such a great moment. And that was way different to Wayne or whoever signing a massive contract, which was so cool too. But it's different levels of cool, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's on their own journey, and like, to see each one unfold, I think that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Like, it's so different. Like, all the players are so different. some guys accelerate and go really fast, and other guys have to take the longer road, and each one, there's no right or wrong. It's just cool to see.
And because you don't have 50 guys, you can really engage in their success with them on their own level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That for me is the coolest part. Like, again, there's such a cool group of guys. Like, we always, if I'm predominantly, it's Bloem and Gauteng. One of the guys, the outlier, Bonga, he's in Cape Town.
I worked with Bonga a couple of years, yeah.
He's in Cape Town, great dude. But for the rest, whenever I'm in Bloem, there's a big dinner. We all go out, we hang out. When in Joburg, we all hang out, we play golf together. So we get on really well, which I think is important.
How did you navigate lockdown and pandemic and no sport with your players? Because this is what they do. They play sports, and now they're sitting.
I know. I think for cricket of everything in the whole world, I think was the most close to the most unaffected thing.
Yeah.
Because it was like the end of the season. There were 3 games left that they missed. There would have been an off-season chilling anyway.
Okay, cool.
Football was a little different. Like, the guys are stuck at home with 10 games to go. And we don't know when that season will resume. And even cricket, I mean, the professional stuff will resume, but the other sports, not so much. Like, I heard they're probably going to cancel club sport till the rest of this year, maybe even halfway through next year. So it's tricky. I guess as bad as the pandemic is terrible, man, and everyone in the world has taken shots from it.
Yeah,
it's just
of course.
what it is.
Yeah.
But I've found it to be, on a personal level, and for a lot of these guys, is a great time to take some time, reset, and just review, where you are and on which trajectory you're on, and if that's where you want to be, and then, take some time for yourself, because a lot of times we forget that as sports people, as people.
Yeah.
Like, we forget to take time for yourself. And I know this has been a hard period for everyone, but sometimes things happen, so you can just reset and everything can slow down a little bit. Everything goes so fast in everyday life, and we still young dudes, but you see, like, all these parents who have newborn kids who've had like 3-4 months with their kids every day. Like, that's cool stuff, right? That's something you would never get.
Yeah, there's a silver lining in everything, so
I think so. And I think for this, it is just taking time for everyone to reset and just work on yourself. I mean, there's nothing else we could do. We're stuck inside all the time. So if you're not going to be doing something productive for yourself, then it's like, what are we doing?
There's no one I've spoken to that hasn't said that the lockdown has been a time for them to restart and reflect. And
totally.
Things. So it's still sad though for the sportsman, a guy like Wayne, who's quite close to the end of his career. You'd like to really enjoy the last few days of his career. And
no, I know. He doesn't. He thinks way differently though.
Is this?
He's coming out of this thing. He's got 4 more years to go.
Oh, really? he's young again.
He's as fit as he's ever been. He's healthier. He's stronger. He's just a machine. He's just a consummate professional. Like, and that again, he's played at the highest level here. He might not have played at Juventus and won the Champions League, but again, to have had an 18-year career and be successful at it, like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? And that's, I always tell the young dudes, like, there's so many great examples for you guys to follow. Like, there's no reason for you to cock it up. Sorry, I don't know if he's allowed to swear.
It's not really a swear word.
There's no reason. There's so much great information and research out there from older players and guys who are willing to share that, like, there's no reason for you to go and make the same stupid mistakes and spend all your money on cars and whatever. Like, there's so many guys telling you don't have to do that. Like, you can wise up a bit now. So let's, you look at guys like Wayne, like, if you went up to him and asked, he would love to help out and talk, but the young guys are the new age is like, very, I'm going to just do it myself. I want it quick, I want it fast. You can't tell me anything, but I think for young guys, you need to, identify certain guys in your sport that have done amazing things and go and learn from them. because there's a lot to learn.
Well, the mentorship part of that is so vital, and I think it was Australian cricket that they started putting this program in place where the older guys would just mentor.
Yeah.
Even after they've retired, they'd take like a youngster and just spend time with him. And that kind of leads me to my next question with you is, in that role, you've got a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. How are you helping them manage their finances, earning a bit of a salary now and things?
Yeah. So I think, for me, again, like I'd mentioned to you, is you can never make someone do something. Yeah. You can give them the tools, you can show them, and you can say, this is what you should do, and who am I to be right every time? You get what I'm saying? So, and when it comes to money, it's a very tricky thing. People are quite funny when it comes to that. But, for me, I say to the guys, like, you give examples, you show examples of guys who didn't do it well, and then you show examples of guys who did do it well and how they started doing it. And it's a principle of saving. It's not, I've just got to, it's like a principle. If you're earning $7,000 a month and you can put 20% of that away, it's not it's $1,400 or $1,000 a month that you're putting away every year, and then your contract goes up and you put more and interest and compound interest. And it's a principle of saying, okay, this percentage goes out. So then when you're earning the millions, that same percentage still goes out. And then you build wealth like that, if that makes sense. So, for us, for the young guys, like, we'll give them a full assessment through the financial advisor that I'm partnered with. They'll have the full thing to show them, to understand. I think, like, a retirement annuity is important, and it's a cool thing to have. An investment, of a certain amount every month is good to have, diversified across different portfolios. And then I think for the younger guys, because it's quite a cheap kind of insurance, I think the income protection is really important. It costs them like $200 a month, and they're covered if they get injured and they can never play again.
Okay, cool.
Then they'll be covered until they're 65 or however it is. So, if you in the middle range of salary, that's a good thing to have. Whereas if you're earning a lot, you can invest the money and earn the interest back, and it'll be fine. So it's just educating them so that they know, just making them aware of these things so they understand. But the guys I help out, they're all really good with that stuff. They're smart. They all save money. Every single one of them saves money every month. So it's good. It's just it's a principle thing. And again, I keep saying to them, it's not about now. Like, that putting away, that's for later. And you're still gonna have enough money to have fun and buy the things you want to buy. And so that's the main thing, is you can have balance. Like, you can have when you're earning good money, you can have a nice car. You don't need 3 nice cars. You can have a nice car, and you can save, and you can do cool stuff. Yeah. So again, it's just all about the balance.
And as you said, there's only so much you can do as an agent, because those principles should actually be taught by good parenting and those type of things. Yeah. Exactly.
But again, it's complex. Everyone's different. Everyone has different ideas and ideals and values, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I guess, again, it's just about, showing and educating guys and teaching them principles that they can take with them throughout their whole life. It's not about now, and it's not about telling them to do stuff. It's just teaching them a principle. Yeah.
How many programs, besides what you may be trying to do, how many programs are there available to athletes that are leaving sports? Some of them might have enough money, some of them might not, but away from the money, you're still going to have some sort of purpose and drive and career. So what type of stuff is available? And if not, what can people in your position do to help their athletes?
I mean, there isn't a whole lot out there for guys after sport. I know in cricket, SACA, which is the players' body, they have a program to help the guys, transition, if that makes sense. Football, there's definitely nothing. I know Betway did something really cool with some guys, helping them to do like a 6-month course, old players, and then get them back involved in football. Because sometimes for a lot of the guys, that's all they know is their sport. So for me to try and tell them you've got to go work in a bank or it's not going to work out. So you can always get back involved.
Coaching or whatever.
Coaching, mentoring, whatever it is. I think the most difficult part is once you've come out of being a successful player, you're earning really good money. And then when you go back into the other role, it's like a job, a normal paying job. Sportsman isn't a normal paying job. It's above average. So I think that's something, and again, that's just, something to teach the guys and to help hopefully get them to learn and understand about. But there isn't a whole lot out there for that. Like, that's something that, I'd love to figure out how you do like that and actually have the impact, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like, to
that's
do
the
this
thing.
and say, how are we going to do it? How does this have impact for these guys to, to transition and have a life after sport? But there's not a whole lot out there, if I had to be honest. And the sad reality of it is if you just look at some of the statistics, there are big cases of depression, suicide, substance abuse, all of those things after sport, just because you go from playing in front of a packed stadium earning a ton of money to being the guy, just a normal dude again. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's where the purpose comes in. It's like, I've had this identity attached to being a rugby player or a soccer player my whole life. I leave this, now I'm doing an internship somewhere. You've always been ahead of all your friends outside of the sport because you've earned more than them from a young age and you've been famous. When you get back into normal life, they've got degrees and 10-year jobs and now you're suddenly behind them. So that identity is where I get interested, is because they've got to form an identity of who I am outside of sport.
Yes,
and
100%.
I read today about, I forgot the name, some British guy who said he couldn't open his curtains for a year. He was just stuck in bed moaning about, like, who am I? So it's a tough one, and I think you're in like the prime position to learn from those type of things.
It really is. I was reading a cool book the other day called The Mind Game. It was by Thomas Bjorn, about golfers, some of the top golfers, and the thing I saw in there, or read in there, which I thought was great, was like, Alex the golf player is not the same as Alex the person. So if I have a terrible round out there, it doesn't determine who I am as a person. Like, you have to learn to separate that. Otherwise, your life will be hard, because then you'll be on a roller coaster as a sports guy. Because when you're high, you're so high. When you're low, we've all been out of form in a time where you're looking, you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, so
and it's sport, especially in cricket and golf. It's such a fluctuating sport in terms of form. So
it really is. But again, you notice that the guys that are the fittest, hardest working guys, their out of form periods are a lot shorter than other guys, if that makes sense. No, of course, and that's also, what I try to get across to the guys is, like, if you really spend a lot of time doing what you need to be doing and training, like, you'll figure out how to get out of the hole a lot faster than someone else would. You're training to limit the downside. When you're playing well, you're playing well. It's like, I'll use a golf analogy again, right? So shaft in a club is a very important part of the club. It's the most important part. It's more important than the head or anything. So if I'm swinging really well on a day, I can have any shaft in there and it's going to go pretty well. But on the day that I'm off, the shaft that has the deviance that's the least, that's the one you got to go with. Does that make sense?
Oh, of course.
So you're training to be able to limit when things aren't going well. Because when they're going well, you're in that state of flow where things are going to be cool anyway. So.
And last year, in the last 2 years, I spent a lot of time at a golf academy. And exactly that is the issue you find in kids, is that when there's a down, it's a very big down, and it's a long-lasting down, because this is who they are. If they're not playing well, who am I? But at the same time, they're not physically doing the work they should. They're not mentally doing the work they should. So that whole discipline, and I try and work with sportsmen. I try to teach life things that they can use in sport rather than teaching sport-specific things.
Totally.
Because it's got to be holistic. It's got to look at everything in your life and in your mind.
It has. It's so important. Rory McIlroy and Bubba Watson both have spoken about that in press conferences in the last 6 months, just saying they found that if they're happy as a person, they most likely will perform better as an athlete. Yeah. So they work a lot on outside of sports stuff, just on themselves as a person and things that apply to life. Yeah. And, you know, once you're content with where you are as a person and who you are, chances are good you'll be a lot freer doing your sport, playing your sport. Yeah. So I think the life stuff is really important to help you. And then for other guys, it's the sport is just the great escape from their life.
Yeah, literally. For sure. Yeah,
that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah. I think of some guys, I don't want to name names, but that I don't think they've spent a second ever thinking about their mind or their happiness. They play cricket, they do well, they go home, and that's like their life. So.
I know. And for some people that works too. It's different. But again, I always say, like, what's the sustainability? What gives you the longest career? And those certain principles, that's what it is, you know, for the guys, those dudes who work hard at what they do.
What is your driving factor? I think we've probably touched on it, but we haven't mentioned it as the driving factor. But what is your motivation to keep being there and present as a manager for your players?
I just want to see them do well and see them being happy and good people, and just, for me, that's all it is. You know, they're a great bunch of guys. I want the best for them, and, you know, different guys will go on different paths and different trajectories, but they'll be great people that I know for the rest of my life. And, you know, for me to try and help them achieve what they want to achieve and be by their side and help give them the tools to be able to do that, for me, that's the main driving thing, is just to, you know, help those guys see, you know, when I was in standard 6, the head boy of our school, he was an amazing mentor to me. And I'll never forget that. And I think that's...
Who was that?
Willem Klopper was his name.
Yeah.
He was an amazing... And there was another guy called Divan van Wyk. He had a great cricket career. But they were great mentors to me. Like, they helped me out. They took me under their wing. And it was so cool. I was in standard 6. And these guys were like... They'd hang out with me sometimes just to... You know, and I never forgot that. And I always, you know, it's just cool to be able to give back. You remember when you were young and you're a little confused, it'd be cool if someone was like, hey, here we go, let's go chat, let's go hang out, let's go, you know, go figure it out. So
I think part of why people like you are so invested in helping, and I've seen this in some coaches and teachers even, is that at some stage in their career, at a critical stage, they had that mentorship, and it's learned behavior almost, but it's ingrained in you that it's needed, and you know it's needed, so you go and give it back.
Exactly. It's like, and it's again, I mean, I think deeply about a lot of stuff, so I'm just like, you know, and you gotta, in life, you have to give back and do good stuff and help where you can help, and in this case it's young sports guys, but for other people it's different things. But you know, if you do, it always comes around. Someone helped me out, and, you know, hopefully I can help someone else out, and maybe in 20 years time or 10 years or 15 years time, one of those guys would be done and want to be a sports agent and learn something that I might have told them one day. So it's always like ripple effect. Like, that's, you know, for me, I get a kick out of that, really.
Yeah. One of the quotes I used when I was in matric, speaking to some grade 8s that I also kind of took under my wing, I said to them, and this is something I live by to today, is people who have heroes become heroes. So make sure you can be a hero to someone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's be everyone's hero, man. Just got to do good stuff out there, you know, just good example, do good things, and the whole world will be better. If everyone was just better, the whole world would be better.
Actually, I was listening to a psychology talk today, and the guy, the presenter said that. He said, if you've got to live that if your behavior was modeled across the board, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
If you can't say that about yourself, then you've got to fix something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty straightforward, actually.
It really is.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something I ask all my guests. 3 books that you've recently read that inspired you that you'd recommend.
The Mindful Athlete, number one. I love that. There was a book by Dr. Bob Rotella. He's a sports psychologist, mainly golf, but it can apply to anything. How Champions Think. I've just started one called Ego is the Enemy by Rob Holiday. Something Holiday. It started off pretty cool. And then I like Robin Sharma's books. Yeah. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari I liked. The 5 a.m. Club was pretty cool. So I get, a lot, but a lot of those books they're all amazing. They got very similar principles to them. Yeah. Like very, very similar. Like there's underlying stuff of hard work, meditation, mindfulness, peace, stay away from drama, do what makes you happy, what fulfills. So they all have a lot of, similar principles told in different ways, which is cool because they apply differently. But for most of them, I guess, just the takeout out of all of those things is, you got to live the life that you want to live, not what someone else is telling you. You have to do what you want to do. And if you've decided on something you want to do, then you got to go full tilt. You got to go all in. Yeah.
There's a guy called Wayne Borowski. He's Doc Wayne Borowski. I did him on my podcast. And there's a couple of things you've said tonight that have been exactly the same as what he said.
Is it?
And it's just interesting because you both are like avid Liverpool supporters as well.
It's a common thing going on.
It must be. So I'm thinking I'm interviewing too much of the same people.
That's awesome.
I think it would be cool for you to meet them because what they're running, they've got this holistic program in like health and wellness. And,
cool. Okay.
And it's here in Randburg.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And it's pretty epic.
To check it out.
He also said exactly that. He said a lot of these books say the same thing, so you can find your message in so many of these books. So that was quite interesting. I just had flashbacks the whole time.
Oh, there he goes, deja vu.
Yeah. What are the 5 most important things in your life right now?
Oh, that's pretty well. If the sports guys, my family is very important. I'm really close to all my family, all my dudes. Really important. My golf clubs, they are so important to me.
Have you played since it opened?
I did, and I felt like I've never played golf in my life before. It was disgusting. I was like, well, what are you doing? When you're standing over this thing and I'm like, so what now?
Yeah, you doubt you're going to hit the ball.
Yeah, I guess my faith, that would be, this is in no order.
Of course, no order.
Yeah, my faith, I think, is really important to me. And the 5th, that's a good question. I'm a really simple dude. Yeah. So 5 is a lot for me. 3 or 4 is cool. On a deeper level, it would be, my family, my faith, and my work, what I do. On a shallower level would be my golf clubs. I love my golf clubs. I collect golf clubs.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah, and bags. And
you play left-handed?
No, right.
Oh, damn it.
I've got, whenever the stuff comes out each year, I got to get new stuff. And I collect bags. You only see one there, but the others are hidden away. But I love it. That's a big passion of mine is golf. So I collect all the stuff. I got all the gear. I'm trying to get really good again. I want to
Is your back sorted and things?
Yeah, I'm good. I had a tricky phase in life after that car accident, and I, for 5-6 years, I couldn't do much, couldn't run, and I was like, while we're sharing, I was taking a lot of pain pills to get through the day, and I just got to a stage where I'm like, this is not good. And I started doing yoga. I was I'm going to start doing hot yoga, maybe it'll help, and it helped so much, and my body feels good. And then I changed it. It's both ways. If your mind feels good, your body will feel good. But also, if you're in pain all the time, it affects your mind.
Yeah, of course.
It's just how it is. So yeah, body's feeling great. I've been playing a bit of golf again. So play some amateur tournaments, which will be fun. Again, I think just to get those juices flowing again.
Competitive juices.
Just see how good you can get again at something, so it's quite nice. But yeah.
If people want to find you, maybe there's a young athlete listening to this or a parent looking for reliable management and representation, where can they find you?
So Instagram, the new age of social media, at Alex Shahim, Shahim, or at Revolve Talent.
Link to that on the notes so people can see it.
Yeah, I think that's it. And just if you want help, drop a mail, SMS, WhatsApp. And again, like for me, I don't need to manage your kid or you to be able to give you solid advice on something. If you want advice, I always say to guys, like, if you need any help, I don't have to be your guy. I'm happy to help you anyway. You know what I mean? It's about just doing as much as you can do, you know. So,
well, you've spent time as a player in those circles and now as an agent or manager in those circles, and you're still very much involved, so you understand all the navigations that go with it. So.
And I think, you know, for parents with a young kid who's got some talent, they always get a little stressed and not too sure, you know, what it is, and then they rush into stuff because they're not sure. But I think for everyone, just take your time and do your research before you decide on getting help, if that makes sense.
No,
like,
for sure, yeah.
You know, people are quick to just be like, and, you know, I think
don't always fall for the sales pitches as well.
No, don't. If they start telling you about they're going to get you stuff, then you should say, see you later. Because that shouldn't be the first conversation you have. The first conversation should be like, you know, what are your dreams? What are your goals? Where do we want to go? Not, I can get you a sponsorship. If the sponsorship thing about anything comes up in the first 5 minutes, you should run.
Okay.
See you later. Drop 100 on the table and run. But yeah, just take your time, you know, for all people looking for help or advice or whatever, take your time, do your research, and don't rush into signing any contracts or anything with people. Just make sure, and there's enough, again, out there, there's enough, you know, you can phone a lot of people to, you know, get reference or whatever. But I think, you know, that's your career or your kid's career. You want to be sure about where you're going. So yeah.
I have one more question for you, and I've had this question for probably 3 or 4 years now.
Oh wow!
So how do you know McLovin, and how does that?
Wow!
I saw a photo of you walking out of this massive house with, I don't know what his name is, but the actor of
Chris Mintz-Plasse from Superbad.
Yes, McLovin. How do you know these guys?
I have my mom's first cousin who lives in the States. He was engaged to a lady. Well, they were together for many years, and she was married before, and her son, one of the boys, was an actor. On Disney Channel, Nicholas Braun. He's doing so well right now. Shout out Nicholas Braun. He's doing amazingly. He's killing it out there in Hollywood. He just did that show Succession, which was massive. He started out on Disney, and him and Chris Mintz, known as McLovin, they're best friends. Okay. So we were all spent a summer out in Connecticut, which is just outside of New York. It's a train ride, so we'd be in the city on the weekends, and
cool.
Or vice versa, come out on the weekends to Connecticut, and we all would just hang out there. So that's how we met, and they're just great dudes, super cool. We had some fun times.
I remember seeing that. I thought, geez, Alex is living the man life.
Oh man, and he hated if people call him that.
I can imagine.
McLovin. It's just like, no, call me Chris. That's my name, Chris. But they're good dudes. They're super cool. They're creative dudes. They're fun. They really are fun. Different world out there.
No, I can imagine. Broadens your way of thinking.
It does. It does. Or even just going anywhere, like just leaving your town, even. Going to a different place where you don't know anyone. I think that it's always a great thing to grow and to learn more about different people and different cultures and stuff like that. I encourage any kid or any person who has the ability or can save up some money to do a trip every few years, or just go somewhere where you don't know anyone. I think that's a great, very cool experience. Cool thing to do.
Listen, man, thanks for this. Thanks for letting me come to your place and chat to you.
Thanks for coming, man. You're the first person in here in lockdown. Holy moly.
Yeah, well, you've cleaned it up nicely, so that's a good thing.
I was washing all day.
But I appreciate your time and your insight, and I hope we can reach someone with this and get the
Awesome.
message out there.
Thanks for coming. It was amazing. Keep doing good work.
Cool, bro. You too.
Sweet.
Lekker.
Peace.